Thank you for joining us for Goose Island's Barrel Aged Blitz. I'm Andy Waterman. There's no question that barrel-aged beers are becoming more popular by the day, and Goose Island Beer Company has been at the forefront of barrel aging for years now. This fall, there will be a lot of attention given to two of those barrel-aged beers in particular, Sophie and Bourbon County Stout. And for good reason, because both Sophie and Bourbon County Stout are part of the Prestige portfolio, which is growing incredibly fast. It's up 40% year-to-date, compared to single digits for the total craft segment. We'll touch on the plans, strategies, and assets that Goose Island has in store over the next several weeks for Sophie and Bourbon County Stout. But first, let's dive into why there is so much potential behind these brands. As its name suggests, Bourbon County Stout is aged in bourbon barrels for a year before it even goes to market. And it just so turns out that Chicago, where Goose Island is located, has the perfect climate for barrel aging.
Because we have 4 distinct seasons. So in the heat of the summer, when it's 100 degrees out like it is today, the pores of the staves in those barrels expand, and that Imperial Stout gets into the staves that have been holding bourbon for 8 to 15 years, and it penetrates into the wood and picks up all those beautiful char flavors, the wood flavors, the vanillins, the residual bourbon flavor. In contrast to that, as the weather gets cooler and then we're in the middle of January and it's 10 below, because we don't temperature control the warehouse, those same pores in the staves, they start to contract. And more or less like a sponge, the Bourbon County Stout starts to get squeezed back into the center of the barrel.
It's a process that Goose Island has perfected since 1992. In that time, Bourbon County Stout has become the crown jewel of Goose Island's barrel-aged portfolio.
It's extremely well known, not only nationally, but also internationally. It has a very loyal following, a cultish following. I mean that in a positive way. Consistently, year after year, it's one of the top-rated beers in the world. So you can imagine, now we've gotten to the point where we only release it once a year, as our wholesaler network is very familiar with. On Black Friday, we wanted to make a big splash and generate a lot of great energy and a lot of great commentary on social. We get a lot of attention for Bourbon County Stout on social.
Sophie is another barrel-aged brew, which Goose Island considers to be its hidden gem.
It's a farmhouse ale that we ferment with a Saison-style yeast initially. And then we take a portion of it and we transfer it into wine barrels, into oak barrels. And we age it for about 3 months. And in the wine barrels, we also introduce Brettanomyces bruxellensis. It's a mouthful, but it's a wild yeast that imparts some really, really cool, earthy, and funky flavors. And we also put some orange zest in there, too, to give it a little bit of a citrus note.
But unlike Bourbon County Stout, many people don't know about Sophie. So in order to boost awareness and distribution, Goose Island is asking for your help.
And what we want to do is we want to get Sophie top of mind with our wholesalers, get it out in distribution. We know that for every wholesaler that wants or gets Bourbon County Stout, that because they have a market for Bourbon County Stout, they also have a market for a beautiful, complex, barrel-aged beer like Sophie. So what we're doing is we're raising awareness, putting a little incentive behind it, using Bourbon County Stout as leverage, and what we're really looking to do is to give some energy and some effort to the wholesaler network to really get behind Sophie. It's a brand that we think has a lot of potential.
Goose Island is bringing tools to the table to help gain awareness and distribution for Sophie as well. There's new digital content behind it, including 2 great TV spots.
Sophie, the barrel-aged Saison from Goose Island.
And that's not all. Goose Island is committing $500,000 to sampling. Yes, $500,000 is coming to the market for sampling alone. You can sample Sophie in off-premise accounts where legal, and in on-premise accounts, sampling is centered around a new program set to take off in Q4.
It's focused around our Sophie Mosa, which is the perfect drink for the brunch occasion. Brunch is one of the trendiest dining occasions out there now, and our Sophie Mosa cocktail is super easy and great for the on-premise and for off-premise sampling. Once people try it, they love Sophie, so as much as they can sample it and get it into people's mouths, that would be the #1 tool, the most effective thing that they could do.
As always in off-premise accounts, it's important to get Sophie in as many parts of the store as possible, so the brand has released new Pockum to help with that.
We have a great new display rack, which is super premium, and it'll be available for all off-premise display programs. We have new sign-making templates that'll really showcase our new packaging, which is coming out in September. Super clean and premium looking. And we have carafes and glassware for the sampling program focused around brunch, and lots of new odds and ends that will help get some attention for Sofie out in the market.
So we've touched on the what and the how, but why? Why is Sofie so important to support? Well, first, it's available 365 days a year. Secondly, it's not just for beer consumers. Sofie appeals to wine drinkers as well. And you don't have to wait. The push behind Sofie starts right now and goes through the end of the year.
For the wholesalers, our number one ask is distribution. So we're asking for the sales reps to go out and find incremental places of distribution, really drive home to the retailer. The brand has a 5-year shelf life. It's an amazing flavor profile, and our consumers really love it when they can get their hands on it. And the reason why is because it's a very profitable brand, right? So it's profitable for the wholesalers, it's profitable for the retailers, and it's a very good selling story to tell our retailers we're bringing them a brand that is in high demand as well as very profitable.
It's easy to see how passionate Goose Island is about growing Sofie's popularity to the level of Bourbon County Stout. And with your help, along with all of the great assets Goose is using to support Sofie, that barrel-aged farmhouse ale could soon be one of the best-selling beers in your market. Thanks for watching Goose Island's Barrel Aged Blitz.